We chose one of the most isolated spots in Britain, Wastwater in Cumbria. 12 complete strangers, carefully selected from around the country, would live together in this hostel. They'd be invited to take part in a program about human behavior, and they'd be completely cut off so we could control their world. To observe them behaving naturally, we were going to have to film them secretly and get their permission to use the footage once we came clean. We want to watch them meet for the first time, for example, to find out more about first impressions. So although we'll be putting them in the hands of these instructors while they go off doing outdoor activities, we're just as interested in what they say and do back at the house. We needed to see everyone, everywhere, all the time. So we started rigging. Hundreds of people applied to be participants in our human zoo, a cross-section of different walks of life and different personality types. We whittled them down to 12. And before they met, we showed them photographs of each other and asked them to make judgments based solely on physical appearance.
He looks a bit like a pit bull terrier. He looks a hard bloke, not the sort of bloke you want to mess about with.
Quite a funny person.
Really, he looks a bit like a mummy's boy, to be honest with you.
Possibly a bit stuck up, maybe.
He looks like a chef, I don't know why.
I can imagine she's quite intelligent.
He just looks too snooty for me. Looks a bit of a snob.
Athletic, quite intelligent, reasonably healthy. I think he could be quite a big challenge, actually.
Divorcee, couple of kids.
She looks a bit like a lesbian.
Construction of our human zoo is almost complete. 2 miles of cable will be carrying pictures and sound from 15 hidden cameras and 15 concealed microphones into a secret control room. There, 2 eminent psychologists will be able to scrutinize anything that moves on banks of monitors. Professor Phil Zimbardo is the world's leading expert in groundbreaking psychology experiments, and his colleague, Dr. Mark McDermott, is one of Britain's top social psychologists.
We are about to see a practical experiment unfold. We're going to observe what happens when we put real people in a field experiment. We're interested in things like cooperation and competition. We're interested in group dynamics, how leaders emerge, how rules can come to control people. We're interested as much in the phenomena of dictatorships as we are in democracy. But really what we learn from this is what people say they would do is often a far cry from what they actually do when put in the crucible of human behavior. And that's really what counts, is understanding what people actually do, not what they imagine they would do.
After 6 months of planning, it's now a few minutes to 12 on Friday, the 19th of November, and we're ready for our first participant to walk down this path. At our human zoo, the first participant is arriving. Caroline is 33, runs her own business, and is married with 2 children.
I'd just like to take a seat.
Okay. I just thought, oh my God, what have I let myself in for? Because the room was very, very different from the normal sort of room that you go in.
Very different. There are 4 hidden cameras in the common room, 4 in the resource room, 3 in the dining room, and 4 more in the hall, the kitchen, and the shop. Hidden away in the hostel's annex is the nerve centre, our control room, where we'll begin by watching their first meeting, starting with Amanda.
Yeah, I'm terrible with first impressions. I try not to, but sometimes I can't help judging people. But I think I was more nervous about meeting anybody than assessing what I thought they were like to begin with.
This is really the first stage of something that's awkward for all of us, meeting a total stranger in a new situation.
Right,
is a situation that all of us have been in. The first day on a new job, the first day in summer camp, the first day at college, where it's so important that people like you, and you're never quite sure of the criteria. How are they judging you?
Sharon, on the left, couldn't have realised how she was being judged when she arrived, or else she wouldn't have held court for 20 minutes, which didn't go down well.
I was quite scared of her at first. She just came out with all this stuff, and I was like, OK.
When she first initially walked in, she was my only concern. She was the only person I noticed and thought, my God, I've not met anybody really that much in your face.
Where did you guys stay last night?
She was loud, swearing quite a lot, and not really a sort of person that I'd like to have an awful lot to do with.
George's arrival has the opposite effect.
I think with me, it's either you love me or you hate me. There's no like, oh, he's all right, because I'm quite an extreme person.
Hi. Who are you?
George. You are?
Sharon.
You can tell George about lunch.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of nowhere.
He's immediately candid and friendly with these strangers, and they like him instantly.
I got pissed.
And then,
Michael, on the other hand, has problems when he first meets people.
The first thing they think is I'm a bit rough because I do a bit of security work, working on the doors. Well, just a big teddy bear. So I'm just a big teddy bear.
Without realising, though, he makes it worse for himself.
He's not hugely demonstrative, is he, when he first comes in? And now he's sitting back and folding his arms. That kind of body language isn't good for getting to know people. It creates a literal physical barrier.
A marked contrast to Thomas, who exudes confidence.
Women respond to me in a positive manner, I think, because when I do go out, I tend to get along well with girls, and if I'm interested in them, in women, it tends to work out quite well.
There, do take a seat.
So in comes Thomas, handsome young man. He picks up the chair, moves it around. So we're ready. That's a very assertive act. And now he continues. He shakes hands with everybody, introduces himself, gets their names.
He has everybody's names.
So look at the advantage that he has created for himself. He now knows everybody's name. People see him as assertive. And so immediately, if you stopped the group and said, okay, who are we going to reject and who are we going to keep, Michael would be out of there and Thomas would be, yeah, we want him in our group.
But will they want Richard in their group?
I like to play to win. If I'm going to enter something or do something, I want to achieve it to its 100%. So therefore, I'm out to win all the time.
Richard's competitiveness and the fact that he's the oldest mean he'll have to work hard to bond with the others. He'll also need to overcome a small obstacle that we've placed in his path.
The very first day I walked into the room and I looked around at the people and thought, oh my God, there's all these people here and they're all in their early 20s and, I'm 41 years of age.
Now look, we've purposely rigged it here so that there isn't a chair for him. Everybody else has one. So what's he going to do? And he's standing back, sort of pretending that what's in his pocket is most important to him.
He's standing behind the other person's chair so that the physical structure can come to shape the social behavior. That because there was no obvious place for him to sit down, he stood up. And that automatically created an awkwardness of everybody else is comfortable and he's not. And so he's still on the periphery. And so that already sets him up as an outsider in this group, right from the very beginning. So Richard is somebody I want to keep an eye on. Will he now do things to propel himself more into the center of the group, or will he simply be an outsider for the rest of the experiment?
Wastwater is a minute's walk from the hostel. It's very cold, very deep, and our 12 participants are about to go in it, head first.
Right, talk it to his stew when you get out there.
If you're going to learn to canoe, you have to practice capsizing. It's also a chance for us to see what they're made of.
I'd rather do the marathon.
Yeah?
I've done the marathon this year. I'd rather do the marathon than doing that. Could be 26.2 miles, I'll do that.
So the marathon was easier than that. I thought we were going to... Julie, what do you think? Have you got your breath back? Can you talk?
Horrible.
It was brilliant. I thought I was going to get stuck in the boat.
Our attention's drawn to George. He's becoming something of a favourite. Richard isn't. And George is winding him up.
I thought, oh God, I'm never going to get on with this guy. He's going to drive me around the bend about, you know, his bloody makeup and probably going off to the toilet every 5 minutes as women do.
I had absolutely no idea what Richard thought of me. He's told me since what he thought of me.
I wasn't going to let him know that, you know, he was irritating me in the first instance.
They return to the hostel, the day's filming done and dusted. Or so they think. Inside, our hidden cameras are still rolling, and Richard's attitude to George appears to be hardening.
What are you going to do? You're going to film a lot of George, aren't they? Yeah, there's a fucking towel, let's face it.
Fabulous.
Tea, coffee.
Richard appears to have started a whispering campaign against George.
Maybe that's my role,
Still the outsider, he's now trying to recruit allies.
All right.
No, tired, wet hair.
George comes in and he could sit anywhere, and he sits right next to Richard. So maybe at some level he's pushing the envelope. He's forcing Richard to deal with him.
Yeah.
Did the doctor, when you went for your medical, say, pull your trousers down so I can check you've got no hernias?
Yeah.
Because you went, oh, you have to put them down further than that. I went, what?
Really? Yeah. No, they asked you.
No, I had to pull my trousers down to about there.
Yeah.
And he had his hands there and made me cough.
Yeah. He did it quickly though, which was good. But...
Well, that's normal for boys, isn't it?
Richard's not amused.
Interesting body language here, this arm back and a leg still on the table. It's quite a dominant posture.
I must drink.
The stage is set. We have Richard, an outsider, competing with George for the lead role. And though we don't know it yet, he's about to try to steal it. After waiting 6 hours in vain for Richard to make his move, our resident psychologists decide to call it a day. Nearly a moment too soon. Richard is on the prowl.
What's happening?
I thought the shop was closed.
The shop is closed. It looks like they're breaking into the shop.
This is the moment that answers Phil Zimbardo's question earlier.
Will he now do things to propel himself more into the center of the group, or will he simply be an outsider for the rest of the experiment?
Hang on. How many people want beers?
An older man trying to ingratiate himself with a younger crowd.
He's closing it up so we don't know that he's just stolen.
About 10 cans. I don't know how he thinks those are not going to be missed, but he's done it. He obviously doesn't think he's being observed.
In the kitchen, shopping. I want one. Like he's shopping. Look, he's getting in the kitchen.
Richard's come back again. He's not acting on his own. There's a diffusion of responsibility here, isn't there, by all these people being involved.
Right, there's a ball. Where's the red stripe?
It's over there. Lemonade there.
What I've got to do is make sure they go back, if you know what I mean. Anybody want any Coke?
Yeah, take some Coke.
Oh, now he's taking orders, you know.
Yeah. What would you like over there?
Rum and Coke and some...
Sure, yeah. A packet of crisps.
No, I'll leave the Coke. The other stuff is too hot, isn't it? Fancy, oops.
End of day one. They've only been here for 6 hours.
Right.
What's going to happen?
Already we have vandals and thieves and, and rogues.
Yeah, what will happen tomorrow?
Who wants a beer? We're not ready. You want a beer? You want a beer?
No,
I think what we're seeing is Richard now creating a reputation for himself. He's the oldest person in the group. He was always worried about would he be accepted by the others.
How many beers? 2 beers. Because we can't pick all this stuff because they will notice it, won't they?
I think he's now demonstrating to the others that he is assertive, he is dominant, he's somebody that you have to take seriously, because what he's doing is challenging this whole institution, breaking, you know, really a fundamental rule. I'm going to go in and I'm going to steal from the people who've set this up. So yeah, I'm really eager to see what's going to happen tomorrow. Well, it's a good start.
Yeah.
We are on our way.
Richard stole 14 cans of lager and 1 Red Bull. Petty theft, but it was also an attempt to transform his status. We've caught the thief, but in part 3 the question is, how do you catch a liar?
Are you ready for the interrogation?
I don't know who stole that beer, to be honest with you. I just don't know how that got there.
Are you lying to me now?
He gets a surge of anxiety at that moment.
Are you sure you don't want to confess?
Richard lied about breaking into the shop, but finally he confessed.
What do you want me to say about the stolen beer? I mean,
Who stole the beer?
Who stole the beer? I stole the beer. I'll put my hands up at that. I stole the beer.
But why? Time to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Perhaps I did have something to prove, not only to myself, but to the other people. So, yeah, subconsciously I think there was that element in there, yes, yeah. I also didn't want to come across as being the dad figure, really. I wanted to be part of the group. So, as I say, I had to try harder to be accepted to be part of the group as well.
We've already seen how hard it is to change a bad first impression, though. So Richard's theft was never going to be enough. The others weren't impressed.
He had something to do and he did it. Yeah, I do think it was wrong. He shouldn't have done it.
I would have taken the beer and left money for it. Maybe not right away, maybe at the end of the trip, you know, giving them the money.
It's just not cheeky or naughty or anything. It's just a really childish thing to do. I drank the evidence after, but that's okay.
Who wants a beer? We're not ready. You want a beer?
They may have drunk the evidence, but they soon forgot his heroics. Richard seems to have proved the point that a bad first impression is hard to repair. However, tomorrow, as they say, is another day, especially in a human zoo. What none of them know is that on day 2, we'll be turning this whole world on its head.
Today we're splitting you into 2 groups.
I hadn't expected that.
It's been decided that there'll be a group A and a group B.
And suddenly that was like us against them.
They sulked about it.
I thought there could be even a punch-up at one point.
They just took it to heart.
It's bullying people and it's like unacceptable behaviour.
When it started getting a bit competitive and a bit heated, I thought, oh, heck.
She definitely is going to have to pay a price for that.
That was really good!
Now she's enjoying the power, the real power that being a red has.
Yes! Yes, yes, yes!